Today in Reddington, we build a switchback up to a gap in the mountains, build the new rail-connected factory town of Oxbow, and expand Reddington's West End for workers at our new furniture factory. Hi, I'm Lee, and welcome back to Reddington, a nice southern town on the fringes of Appalachia. So we've got a decent little town going here. We've got our railroad. We have a little bit of farmland and a whole lot of farm industry. One of the things that sort of frustrates me and disappoints me about the industry's DLC is that I feel like the farming is really unrealistically small in nature. All these factories and everything, truth be told, you'd have farmland sprawling for miles to feed all of this so that you'd feed all these people. So I hope in some sequel that they actually make that a little bit more realistically scaled. Because one of the things that I'd love to do is just have this whole countryside covered with farmland. And then it would give me a good incentive to build in some roads. Nonetheless, I am going to build roads anyway. Let me put on my terrain view here. What I'd like to do is build this road off into the distance and maybe even have a few other roads in here. It looks like I'd probably be able to build pretty much however I want. Not a whole lot of terrain to follow over here for a while. But where do I want to head? Well, in Appalachia, it's really, or as maybe it's said in South Appalachia, I'm sorry, I'm so northern, I'm not even sure if Appalachia is an incorrect pronunciation or not. To us northerners, sometimes they call it the Alleghenies even, which is what they usually call them in Pennsylvania, for example. But either way, in Appalachia, what typically is the case is that you look for a gap. In the West, a lot of times, like in the Rockies, the Sierra Nevada, they call it a pass. And what that is it's just a more passable area or a gap in the mountains, in the ruggedness of the mountains that allows one to traverse from one side of the mountain to the other side. That's how the bear went over the mountain to see what he could see. And I am seeing a huge valley over here that would definitely be useful land, at least to logs, since there's so many trees over here. But we need to find a pass or a gap to get across. And it looks like this here is probably our best bet. Yeah, right here would be our gap. So let me get the road tool out and mark that, because that is our goal. And I don't want that to be a real long road because I'm going to get all sorts of funky artifacts from that. So this is our pass. Now the trick is to get down from our pass and over to Reddington, because that would be a main road eventually. So that's pretty steep right here, so it's likely this would be a switchback. I think it would head over. I'm going to use the freeform tool so that I keep the curves constant. I think that this would be about how we'd want that to flow. That doesn't look too bad. And now I'm going to run it down the hill here as much as I can, and hopefully I'll be able to keep a relatively constant grade. That looks pretty good, actually. All right, so I really think I want to run it down over here. This would be another good gap in order to get into that valley too. So yeah, that's good access right there. So we actually have a little bit of, almost have two gaps right here instead of just one. I'm going to run that road right in there. And hopefully, yeah, that's actually almost, yeah, no, that's a really good grade right there. Okay, now why am I concerned about grades? These are old roads. We don't have cars or trains or anything that we need to worry about, right? Well, that's true, but we still had stagecoaches and wagons and things like that. And a lot of times people power moved a lot of goods back in the 19th century. So it's not really something that we want to take for granted that we can just always, pick whatever grade we want. That right there is not leading me anywhere good. So I need to stay on the mountainside a little longer than this. Let's see here. So when you're using people power, you don't want to be pushing things straight uphill, because not only is your cart going to be very, very heavy and maybe impossible to push or pull, but you also might lose it and it goes all the way back to the bottom and you're in really big trouble. So it's important to not take these things for granted when it comes to grades. Give me a minute here. I'm going to just try my best to get a curve where I can switch this back and around. That is a really steep grade. I'm going to level that out here. They did have hand tools in the 19th century, and a lot of grades were actually built in the 19th century by hand. Okay, so I'm going to sharpen this grade a little bit. Just do this by hand. It doesn't have to be perfect, just pretty good. We're going to push this down a little faster. There we go. So what they would do is they would use cuts and they would use fills, and this here would be a fill, and this over here might be a cut, since we're going down lower into the terrain. This is a real challenge to build this, as you can see, because this terrain is rather steep. And I think we'll sharpen this a little bit here, some more. Make this a bit of a deeper cut. It's very likely this could be rocky, but they still had picks that would have been used to build this. They probably wouldn't go here though, so that we probably just need to take this segment here out and switch this back around. Yeah, I need to take this segment out too. All right, so we're gonna switch this here. All right, so we're gonna fill this. I think that makes the most sense. And we're gonna cut that. Actually, that cut might be the main thing we need. Okay, yeah, this is looking about right. That looks pretty good. Okay, now we have this. And we might not even really be... Okay, now I want this to be all on the ground. We might not even really be in the 19th century yet. Okay, that definitely didn't drop very much, so this is going to be a little cut. That's the other thing I would love to be able to do in this game, really have it straightforward. You know, when I'm building a road, how much dirt am I moving to build this road? And that would be really helpful to know, because then I could have the balance out the cuts and the fills to a much more reasonable degree. Oh, and I don't want it to go down that deep. I need to make sure that I'm zeroed out here on the fine road tool. And that's not steep enough to get down and meet. I'm probably going to be able to switch this back again though, so that's the good news. Now, why am I eyeballing this and not using the network multi-tool? The network multi-tool would be a way easier way of doing this, wouldn't it? I don't want this to be perfect because I don't think it would be perfectly engineered back in the 18th or 19th century. Well, we're on the 19th century because we have railroads. So I'm just eyeballing this as much as I can. This is going to be an old road that just happened to have been built by hand. Okay, that's actually pretty good right there as it is. So now I just need to connect these up. What I'm going to do here, got the 180 degree there. There we go. Hey, that's not bad. It's a pretty good little switchback. I don't feel like I did a whole lot of terrain alteration on this here. And that gets me up over to the pass, the gap. Sorry, I'm used to going out west. So that gets me up to that gap. Now I need to get down from this here. That road will continue on in that direction. We can use that later. but I need to get back down the rest of the hill. Now, where would I be doing that? Well, chances are good I'm not going to want to go up any higher than I have to. So, I'm going to run this straight off. I don't have bending turned off. I don't mind that 45-degree angle so much. If anything, it's sort of working for me. Yeah, I think I'll be okay with that. I might make that a little steeper. So I still need to switch this down a little bit, but not as severely as I did up on top. And I wish I could say I had a magic formula to figure out how to get this to work well. But it takes more time to count it than it does to mess it up and then rebuild it, at least in my opinion. That is a really gentle grade. I'm not sure about that. I think I want that to be a little steeper. That looks good. It does get a little easier as we get down further. That looks pretty good right there. Okay, so we've got it down most of the way. Now, where is our other road here? Well, if we were headed straight to the pass from over here, we do want to descend some here and then work with this terrain. And then I think we could go straight from there. Will that put me in the right place? Actually, let's head for those rocks. Those rocks are cool little landmarks. And actually, we have some steep terrain down here. I need to work this down the hill a little further, don't I? Because this is really more of a plateau right here. Okay, so if that's the case, oops, I want that to be straight. I'm gonna run this down here. And then I think I'm gonna actually straighten this. Take that segment out, run this straight. That's not gonna work. Alright, that looks about right there. Okay. Oh, you know what? That's not the right tool. Alright, I want this to be about straight with that terrain line right next to me. Right here. And then I can run this straight for a little while. And then I'm going to go down the hill at this angle right here. See how much I can go. That's a good grade right there. And I want to try to run it around those rocks. Okay, that did not keep straight slope like it was supposed to. Sometimes you have to check and uncheck that box. I don't know why that doesn't reset correctly, but it doesn't. Okay, so I'm gonna take it to here. That's okay. Well, let's not go too steep here. Yep, that looks pretty good. Except there is one thing I could do a little better. Alright, so let's try to angle that so that I'm just angled into the terrain line a little bit. I don't think that will be too... yeah, that looks good. Alright, so now I should be able to roughly follow the whole hill down. That's pretty... let's try that. Yeah, that looks really good. Still have a ways to go. I'm not really keen on this, but I'm just gonna pretend that this is not too rocky. This is a problem right here. That knob is gonna make me move a lot of dirt to cut through there. But that'll land me right over here where I want to be. Maybe I take that cut. And it's a little steep. I think I need to re-examine here. Alright, so I've got a fill here. Maybe that cut makes more sense than I think. Yeah, that looks okay. I'm going to have a significant fill over here. I already have one that started. Maybe I just have to angle that. Oh, that's a little steep. Let's do this. Make sure I'm level. Ooh. think I'm probably gonna need a little fill over here anyway. Ah, no, I have fill. Okay, that's not gonna work. I think I need to go over on this side, maybe? I don't know. This is why I like to do it this way. It is challenging, but it's challenging in a good way in that it makes it so that I have to work with the terrain that I have in order to make the roads make sense. It actually creates little caveats in the road network that make it more interesting later on as your city grows. I mean, as you can see, it's actually a pretty cool little road right there. Just snaking its way up to this gap, and then continues on an even bigger switchback up to the next gap. Okay, so what am I gonna do? That's a really great question. I think what I'll do at this point is try to build this road to connect over to it. Now, I think I would actually prefer that road not to go there, but rather to go down a bit. Okay, now that isn't quite what I was expecting. Whoops. Let me take this out. So we do need to go around the hill here, but we need to do it at a better angle than that. Oh, looks like I have a bit of a fill right here. Oh, if I had only been paying attention better. I don't think that they would fill that though. I'm gonna take that out. I think they would have left that as it was. Alright, need to go 25 straight to hit that. There you go. That looks really good. And that'll allow me to go right around this hill, except I want to use the right tool here. That's such a gentle grade right there, I don't even have to worry about it. Now, how would I get up here? Yeah, I think that actually solves my problem right there. I will make that a little steeper, make this a little less steep. Yeah, that's looking much better now. Except that I really feel like I need to switch this down. But I don't like that it's... I think I need to switch it down right over here. That makes more sense to me. Oh, that's so steep. I have another idea. Okay, I need that to be steeper. That looks good. No. Well, that takes care of most of it. Let's see if we can get it the rest of the way. Oh, that is a brutal grade right there. Okay. So that's a little messy, but that's the name of the game. These are not necessarily roads that were set up by surveyors. They might have just been cowpaths or deer paths that were turned into roads, turned into cowpaths and cart paths and whatnot, and then they lead right up this mountain and over to the other side. So now if we want to, we can build that side down. That will be a whole other thing, but I wanted to at least build some kind of road out here. I think I might try to work through some of this more later, but either way, the important thing is I've gotten some sort of infrastructure out here in case I want to build. And now I'm going to turn my attention over here because I want to take advantage of this land because it is fairly flat. Industry is good for flat land, and I want to build a forestry industry because we don't have any forestry, and one of the biggest industries there was in Appalachia was forestry. They logged almost all of the Appalachian Mountains, and that was because Europe especially was just desperate for as many timbers as they could possibly ship. So all whole sorts of lumber was built. It was used to build British ships back before the colonies decided to rebel and declare independence and things like that. So the New World and lumber and timber were huge industries. So I'm going to build a timber industry right over here. The railroad definitely facilitated the huge growth of that. A lot of furniture industry exists, especially in North Carolina and all throughout Appalachia, but North Carolina for sure seems to have the most famous furniture industry, starting in the Appalachian Mountains and down into the Piedmont, with High Point and Hickory and places like that being especially prominent in that industry. So Reddington is going to somewhat follow in those footsteps. And now that we have a rail connection to connect markets and also to connect in here to our industrial area, we have a lot of services over here that would be great for supplying residents. So we'll build a new residential neighborhood over here and add some warehouses and things like that to make it a lot easier for Reddington to have its goods shipped in. But we're also going to take advantage of this land out here to build a whole other town, a satellite town that's just going to be to serve workers for the our timber industry. So that looks like it's pretty straight right there. We'll do that and we'll continue this road out all the way to the water. We'll follow the terrain lines while we do that pretty closely here. Put a really simple road in right here. That should do. That will be the spine for our furniture industry. And let's get that set up here. Actually, we'll start with an industry area first. And I'll just paint that pretty wide just because I'm going to take advantage of all this here. Or at least a good section of it. We can always scale that back later if we need to. Okay, so I kind of like this little area here, this bend on the river. I'm going to call this Oxbow. Call it Oxbow Timber Products. Okay, so now we need to get a main building going on here. So we want forestry industry, and we want our main building, and we're going to put that right in the center of town. So that's near the main road, near the railroad. We're going to take advantage of that railroad right here in just a second. Okay, so that's our main building. Now, the next thing we need is, let's look for some reason this is already unlocked. I don't know why. I'm just going to take advantage of it. I'm not going to worry about it. It'll allow me to build what I want to build right out of the gate. So I think forestry barracks make a lot of sense here. I'm going to build that on a side road here. Oh, well, that's not exactly the best look for the terrain here. And I'm going to pause this because, well, I'm not going to pause it right now. All right, so what I need here is side road that will allow me to pack in some of these buildings close by. So I'm just going to eyeball this and hope that that's in the general vicinity. And it is. So we'll put our barracks over here. That'll get things started. And then the other thing we'll need, let's put a maintenance building in here. Now, one of the things that's good about the maintenance building, it does have noise pollution, 25 noise pollution, but it doesn't give off any other pollution. I'm not going to worry about that too much. So we've got a maintenance building, and then we need to have some mills here. So we're gonna focus this around the pulp mill and the engineered wood plant. And we're gonna need workers. We're gonna build a town right over in here. The other thing we're gonna do is put in a railroad station, a cargo terminal. And I'm not gonna worry about whether the products can be shipped that direction, because what we're gonna do is just send everything into Reddington and then go from there. So I'm just not even gonna build, I'm just gonna build a spur that goes one way and goes off into Reddington. In order to do that, I need to have a road. I'm not sure if that's in the right spot or not. Let's find out. It's close, but not quite. The other thing I need to do here, it's 10 units, okay. The other thing I need to do here is level this out some. Now I'm not gonna go overcharged egg here, but I need this to be bigger. I do need to do a little terrain rework here just to fit this terminal in. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna build a spur. Let me put my road in here first. Oh, hey, that's perfect. Turn on anarchy here. And I'm probably gonna have to, oh no, those those catenaries look good. That's a pretty good angle. Okay, cool. So we've got our terminal here. And I'm gonna cut that off a little bit here. I'm not gonna extend this road to connect right there for two reasons. One, this goes around because it's avoiding this hill in the first place, and then there's a huge drop off over here. On this side, the terrain is a little more gentle heading into the road right there, the existing road. So I'm not gonna sweat that too much. Now what I wanna do here, I've got my rail connection here to the outside world. And that's gonna be really good for bringing in these goods. What I probably could use is a warehouse or two. So let me drop a warehouse in here. We'll go with a small one. Actually, do we need the small one? Yeah, let's do that. Maybe we should use the small one. That'll flatten that out, no worries. I'm gonna put a few small warehouse yards here. This will give me more trucks than I would otherwise for the same storage space. I'm not gonna worry about that being balanced. And I wanna have paper in that one, plain timber in this one, and then I think forestry products right there. Okay, so that'll take care of that. I need to get some electricity over here and some water. Let's worry about the electricity first. If I can get to this here. Now this is a really long way for a water pipe. It's a long way for electricity. Obviously we have the money though, but I'm not going to run water. I think electricity is pretty realistic to run out there, but I don't like the idea of running water out here. So I'm going to run it right along the railroad here. Okay, so I have electricity here. Now for water, I'm just gonna drop a water tower right here and set up water treatment somewhere here too. Let me put the water treatment over here where the pollution is likely to be. Now this is gonna set up a little bit of noise pollution, and it's gonna set up a lot of ground pollution. So we'll put that over here, and to keep the pollution far away, I'll put the water tower right in here. And it'll have electricity too, so that's the other side benefit for that. I'm gonna try to run that with the street grid right here instead of running it off of here. Okay, so I have everything I need, I think. Electricity being, no, it is not being pushed. That's not a big problem. So I'm gonna have a town, and I'm gonna build it right along here. This will be my main street. And we'll make the blocks small so that the town is very walkable. Okay, let's load this up with some commercial zones. We'll just make that commercial. Okay, so now we need to make sure we have some residential. The warehouses, I don't think, create a lot of noise pollution. The cargo terminal does. So I'm not going to get too close to that, but I am going to get close enough that it will spread electricity out here. And I'm going to speed up the clock some. Okay, I have a grid problem out here. Let me make sure that follows. There we go. That looks a little better. I need to fix this over here too. Yeah, that's not gonna work. There, that's better. And I can fix this too. There we go. That looks a lot better. It'll fill in more appropriately. Yeah, that should work. Okay, now I need to get some water over here. Okay, we need to get some electricity over here. Let's just build this here and hope that that fills in soon. Oh, hey, there we go. That should solve all of our problems, except for these ones right here. Okay, so our sims have moved in. We're starting to see an influx. Let's fill in the rest of this. And I'm going to leave that empty right there. I'm going to leave this area empty too. Okay, so now let's see how much our industry area has. Okay, so we're not actually making anything. We do have workers going in there already. There we go. All right, so let's actually get some stuff. Oh, and you know, the other thing we need to really do, I have not looked at garbage in a long time. Let's look at garbage. Yeah, we're a little behind. I'd like to build the waste processing facility, complex, I should say, with the waste transfer facility, but I'm not quite at the point where I really want to commit to that just yet. I do want to build more recycling centers though, so I'll add at least one. That'll get me back over the top there. I'm going to build one out here for this area too. These don't, if I remember, yeah, they make a little pollution, but not a ton. So how about if I put that right there? That actually should make it so I have electricity passed without that commercial building, which is a little out of place. So that takes care of all of that. Now I need to get my forestry industry buildings here. Okay, so I do need water. Let me run water down under the street because for some reason trees think they need water, especially when they're sitting in planted in tree farms. So what is the largest? So we've got saplings here, 9,600 units with 8 trucks, 6,400 with 5 trucks. Okay, I like this. Let's go with this. And we'll try to, oh, that's right. These actually follow the terrain pretty well on their own. So I'm going to throw a few of these in. And then I need to get some processors. So we've got the pulp mill and the engineered wood plant are the top biggest ones here. I need to have some storage facilities too. So let's build storage facilities first. Oh, probably would like to have police and fire out here, wouldn't we? Let's build that. And since this is a company town, it actually makes a lot of sense to build that right here, especially fire. And we can put in a little bit of, well, actually let's put a cemetery in too. I didn't even think of that. I don't know if this is a real good look for the company if I put it right across from the barracks. Let's not do that. How about we put it right over here. We'll nestle it right there at the end of this street. And then the, yeah, that'll be a little bit of a landmark there more. Okay. And then healthcare. Let's get a medical clinic built here somewhere. I think in the center of town, not on the main road, but over here makes a little sense for that. I forgot to turn anarchy off. Take that house out of there. So now we have all our services. I'm not sure that should get looked at by our emergency services, so I'm going to leave that go. No, I'm not. Forget it. There we go. I'll let that rebuild. Okay, so that shouldn't burn down now. Let's get a look at... We're stacking up forestry products right here. That's cool. Hopefully we're getting them on the trains. We'll check the trains out in a second here. Let's get some storage facilities here. Okay, let's see here. Wood chip storage. And then we've got log yards. Now these tend to create a great deal of traffic. I'm gonna put the log yards right here. And I'm gonna put these on the other side of the street. But they're not gonna stay there. I've got another road. Oh, that's not what I want to do. I'm gonna reverse these around. Doesn't want to do that. I've got money to burn. I wouldn't do that in an ideal world, but it's Cities Skylines. And let's get some water. And then finally, we need to get in our industrial facilities, our factories. We'll just start there. We've got our pulp mill, I think, is the largest. And we'll run these roads right around here. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be enough factory space, but this is what we'll start with for right now. I've got a little bit of a buffer. This will make it so that all of these roads, all this traffic will be on these side roads instead of on the main road. So we won't have traffic turning in and out of there. That's the reason why I left that buffer space. I need to get more water down here. Ah, that's not even a straight road. How interesting. All right. I need to fix that. I thought I had that correct. And I do not. There we go. Much better. Okay, so we have ourselves a timber industry. We should be leveling up. We already have leveled up almost to level 3. We need to keep an eye on this so that we know whether we're putting a lot of raw forest products out and not turning them into paper or plain timber. We're not making a lot of money just yet, but that is going to change pretty quick. We just leveled up to level 3, so we're getting more bonuses and things like that. That is exactly what we want to see. We are accumulating some plain timber and some paper here. I'm going to set this up to be empty because I want this to get shipped out. And I want that to get shipped out too. So that'll send more trucks over here to the train station. The train will hopefully pick it up and take it into Reddington. Now the problem is I don't have anything using plain timber or whatnot over here, so there's not a whole lot of reasons for the trains to leave. Let's fix that problem by putting in one of our unique factories. I'm just going to extend a street right here. Go to our unique factories and let's go to the furniture factory now. So we need wood and paper for this, and it'll create some very profitable, valuable materials. Let's look at our terrain map here. I'd like it better if this was situated like this, so that the side road had the truck traffic as opposed to the main road, because I really feel like there's going to be more going on here. Now, the next thing I need is to get some warehousing going on over here. let's see how big our warehouses are and fit some of those in. I'm going to use a small warehouse. You know, I'll use some larger ones here. Put a few of these in. Okay, so one other thing I'm going to change here before I finish this. Right here is a really great spot to make the trucks come in. Let's take that out, 12 units right here. So that's about 12 units, so if I go 4 more out here. Nice curve right there. Should be pretty even. Now, I'm not really sure I'm enthused about how all this looks. Let's use the smaller warehouses here. Actually, I might go up the hill a little bit with this. I don't know. I have to think about this. Okay. Yeah, you know what? This will probably look better. I'm gonna run a street straight across right here and throw some warehouses on it. Oh, that's great. And you know what? I'm gonna actually face this other street right here. There we go. All right, so let's make this. Let's have these fill, and we'll have that be plain timber. This will be paper. We'll have that fill, and we'll do forestry products. Now we already have some other warehouses over here. One for animal products, one for unique factory products. That's good to have. Another warehouse here for flour. So it looks like we're taking care of most of that. I'm going to leave that alone for the time being. That should be adequate right now. I didn't want to put that on this street. I do want to make it so that everything can go pretty much straight out, but that doesn't seem to be working the way I expected it to right now. That's strange. I might be because of the way I placed the road. Let's rebuild the road and make sure it's in the right spot. Yeah, I don't think it was. I could be wrong though. Yeah, that's what I want it to happen. I wanted the trucks to go straight out and straight in, like you're seeing right there. That looks a little better. And I'm gonna pave that road. Pave these ones too. Just to get the traffic moving a little faster. Okay, so let's take a look at everything else that's going on over here. Oxbow Timber Products. We have a little bit that's going to Raw Forest Products, about a third. That's a little more than I'd like to see, but it does look like everything is functioning pretty well. We're making money, which, as you can see, we really need it. So we have enough worker capacity that we should be able to level up to level 4 pretty easily, I would think. Yeah, we will. I'm not sure if we'll hit level 5 with this, though. We'll have to check that in a bit. Everything seems to be working pretty well, though. Now, one of the things I did not do is set up a new neighborhood or, well, town or whatever over here. And I'm doing it wrong. All right, so we're only going to have this area here annexed in to the town. And it is not going to be called Cozy Square. We're just going to call this Oxbow. And it's got about 1,000 residents. Let's make sure that those factories, yeah, they are. Okay, the factories are included. We have about 1,100, wow, we have over 1,100 workers and about 200 households. So we really need a lot more population in here to fill up that factory area. Otherwise, we're going to create a lot of traffic for ourselves. If we take it down to just private vehicles, pedestrians and cyclists, we've got a lot of private vehicles coming in from Reddington, looks like. Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly where they're all coming from, but they are probably coming from residential neighborhoods in Reddington, and they're taking various routes. Some of those people might actually be heading back from being tourists in other cities, so that's okay. We don't mind that. If we look at this little town, though, we're going to notice something very nice here. We don't see anybody trying to get in here. I don't think, anyway. Let's check a look at the industrial area here. Oops. Why does it have to be so close? Okay. So we have a lot of commuters coming in by car. Let's get rid of the pedestrians here. Can't really say whether... no. Those are people coming back from work probably in Reddington. We've just leveled up to level 4. So I'm not really sure what to make of that. It does look like we're not exporting a lot to just regular forestry products, so that's good. We should have enough workers to break level 5. So I'm going to let that go and see how that looks in a bit here. I really could use more people working in here. So let's expand this town. We probably should get some schools out here too. I bet that would be nice. How big are those blocks? 14. Let's just go with that. So that'll bring in a little bit more residential development. Probably not enough. So I'm going to do something that's going to be a little unorthodox. I'm going to add some high density in here. Now, I'm really not a fan of how high density works. There's no medium density or anything. I'm also not happy that I'm also really bummed that there's no mixed use development. I would love to have commercial lining the street and have some residential on top and maybe all around and have it be medium density residential. I think this whole town would probably be much more dense than the way it looks now. Just because it's a company town, you'd have a bunch of people working there. You'd want to have the cheapest housing that you could possibly build here. And that would be how most people would live. And that's cool. So we just don't get that, though, with Cities Skylines. So hopefully they're thinking about that when they make the sequel. I would really love to see that. It would make the game a lot more realistic and more fun, at least to me. So, because I just love to build cities that way. I do have some ideas of how to work around that. We're not going to cover that in this series, but I think in another series I will eventually create. We will tackle that. But it looks like this town here is going to be in a good position to progress up to level 5 with the amount of output and the number of workers. It looks like most of that is some of that is not going to our industries like I was hoping it would. We'll keep an eye on that. It's really hard to balance this out so that these factories get everything they need here. It looks like they're doing pretty well at that, and our industry here is filling up with forest products. Those are empty and they're working pretty well. Okay, so that's good. Let's see if we're building a lot of furniture yet with our furniture factory. And it looks like we're definitely building furniture. And I don't even have the production rate pegged. It might not be, oh well, these are full. All full. So we have a lot of, everything's really coming in well. And now it looks like it's going to ship some of this out. Hopefully to the factory here. I don't know how that works. I needed to get into this more. I haven't covered this in More Money, Less Traffic, so you'll find me a lot more knowledgeable once I get to the Industries DLC. I'll get into more of the answers to these questions. It looks like, I don't know about this. I do think I want to leave it on fill. So I feel like ballast is going to cause me problems. I don't want this to run out of materials. Now it looks like I have a lot of demand for residential zones, and that's probably because I've just added about 1,000 almost 1,000 jobs out here with this industry area. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be using a whole lot of the raw forest products here. And I'm not sure if this is a reason why. I don't know. That's hard to say without more knowledge on the topic. I don't quite understand why it is that we don't have better police coverage. I don't know if it's the traffic level. It might have something to do with it. Let's pave the road down Main Street. It's gonna take out some of our buildings, but I think overall it'll be worth it. And we'll pave up here to the railroad terminal and down there to the storage facilities. We'll go to the factories too. Yeah, I think that'll do. And you know what? I'm going to use the industrial roads here. That should do the trick. Use a regular street there for those barracks. Okay, so that'll make things move a little smoother, hopefully. Get through a little faster. Now, I don't think it's really realistic at this point yet to pave roads all the way back into town. But eventually there will be highways and things like that. We don't have anything like that at the moment. And by highways, I don't mean freeways. I mean 2-lane highways. It took a long time. It wasn't until the 20th century, or maybe in the mid-20th century, until we really had solid U.S. highways and state highways across the United States that developed over a very slow period of time, starting in the early 20th century, probably about the 1920s on up, when more people were driving from city to city. The need for highways became apparent. Okay, so we have a huge demand, not completely topped out demand for residents, and we've got all this land right here. I think that it would be pretty realistic to have some factories over here in this area that are close to the railroad and close to the other factories. We could probably use a little residential over here. So how many workers are in there? We have 46 workplaces. Does that go up as I increase? Doesn't look like it does. So let's leave that at 100%. We're running out of plain timber. Why is that? Let's go with balanced on that. Hopefully that will fill that back up, because we really need it to keep everything moving. Let's run those at balanced again. Hopefully that'll send some trucks over here. But anyway, we could use a residential neighborhood over here to send workers to these factories. So I'm gonna try to fit one in. I have a little bend right there just so that I don't mess up this grid over here. I just think that's going to look uglier. Alright, I'm out of my way to save the grid right here, so I better take advantage of that. That's going to look a little weird. You know, what are you going to do? I think I'm going to extend this street here too. Okay, it looks like I've got a chance to fix the grid here after all. And if I just run right there, that should work better than this. There we go. Yeah, it's not exactly the way I'd like it, but it's pretty close, so I'll take it. Okay, and we're going to put some commercial right here. I'm also going to put a corner store in, because I just really think they're important. I think we'd have one right here. I think that would be a pretty logical place for a corner store. I think we've got room to put corner stores in other parts of the town here. That'll just make it so that the Sims don't have to walk as far to grab some groceries. It's what we have here in the States, and a lot of old towns, a lot of old cities. You have corner stores in the middle of neighborhoods, just purely for the sake of convenience. So that will bring Reddington's population up over 8,500, and we have not quite a 5-star industry here. Let's see how close we are to 5 stars. Looks like we could use more workers. It looks like we need more units, but we are adding more workers a little bit at a time. How are we doing on consumption? We're not using as much of the raw forest products as we really need to, and that's a problem. So let's see if we can change that by adding some more mills over here. Let's add another pulp. What is that? A pulp mill, yeah. And another engineered wood plant. Actually, we'll put 2 of these in right here. And hopefully that will help us catch up to how much we're producing over here and make sure our consumption is more on the outsides and not on the inside for just plain old raw forest products. We have a lot more workers in here. Now, how are we doing on residents? We've got 2,000 over here now. That's a pretty healthy number. We're covering about half of the jobs in Oxbow. That's pretty good. I'd like to cover all of them here, just about, because I think that would be more realistic, because we didn't have cars back in that time period. I think we're gonna need to go with some high density to get us there, and we might need some more commercial if we add more high density. So let's start with high density right here. I'm gonna try to keep the buildings nice and big, like that high density as well. And I feel like we'd probably have some more high density along here too. And the reason why I think we'd have high density over here is because this is within much closer walking distance to the factories over here. So since people are going to want to work in here, it makes sense they would be close to work. Live close to work, I should say. All right, now let's add in a crematorium here. Put this, turn anarchy off, make sure I get this in a good spot. Let's put it right there. And we're going to densify this a little bit. And we could probably use some schools out here. I think that would help. I think it would be rational to put that right there. We'll just go with an elementary school for the time being. That's definitely going to bring up our property values quite a bit, but not too much. I want this to be a nice working class area here. We aren't paving a lot of roads yet, just a few here and there as we can. That didn't really happen a whole lot until late in the 19th century, so it's really not unrealistic to have very few paved roads just yet. We're out putting more output, getting more out there than we had before. That's what I want to see. And we are surpassed the level 5 level for level 5 workers that we need, so we just need to get the production and we're good to go. So that's pretty balanced. And let's take a look at the train situation here. Our warehouses are full here, even though they're set on empty, which is just fine. That is filling up almost completely. Let's follow our train into town here. On our beautifully constructed railroad right on into town. I need to take some rocks out, looks like. I'll have to do that off camera. But this is a nice little railroad we've got built in here when we use the network multi-tool. Now let's escape here and see all the trucks come out and where they go. Looks like most of them are headed to the warehouses. So our warehouses were hopefully very full. Yeah, they look pretty good. So we shouldn't be importing anything when it comes to forestry products. And no, we are not. We are importing some goods over here downtown in Reddington and over here in Oxbow. So we're not producing as many of those as we need. That's where we have unique factory products. And we're not moving that around a lot. Are we building a lot of furniture? Are we baking a lot of bread? Not really. And I don't think we have a whole lot in the way of normal industry anyway, but we're not consuming a huge amount. We're not importing a lot of ore or oil products. We're not importing any agricultural goods. We're exporting a lot of forestry products, a lot of agricultural products. Now, where are those coming from? It looks like they're coming from those warehouses, which is not exactly what I had hoped. So what we needed probably do is connect this after all, so that we aren't adding any extra steps to exporting our forestry products here. So let's get that leveled out a little better here. Alright, so now we're seeing trains go in the other direction. I hope that we'll export those forest products right straight out of town right straight out of Oxbow instead of taking them into downtown, into Reddington, you know, over here at this terminal. We'll see how that goes. Oftentimes it's good to try to keep have spurs instead of routes that allow for lots of traffic to go in between these terminals, because these cargo terminals will really clog up your rail network. Even if you're trying to just send the things out. Let's look at this. So we're level 5, top efficiency, low pollution. That's what we want to see. Looks like most of everything is going to production. We're not outputting it quite as much as I'd like here into produced goods, but everything is full. That's probably a good thing, as long as these are relatively empty. It looks like they are, so things are moving around nicely. Cool. Yeah, that looks good. And then over here, everything is full. Looks really good. So yeah, I would say that we have successfully added ourselves a new industry to Reddington and added a little bit of a neighborhood over, expanded the west end a little bit here. We can probably add that in. Looks like I need to fill in a spot for water here. Okay, so our next item on the agenda is we need some education in here. We're almost at 10,000 sims. We need to get an higher education going on in here. That's really going to help balance out the geography here. We've got downtown and the West End way over here, a lot of industry. I think I'm hunting for somewhere to put a university somewhere here on the other side of town. So it'll be a little quieter over there. Won't have quite all that industry moving around. And it'll still be within really good distance of so much of the city that we can educate our sims and make this even more profitable, putting in some office complexes, since we'll have the ability to do so. And it looks like we also will have an opportunity to add some more residential neighborhoods, which is going to be really handy too. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It really helps get it in front of more city builder fans like you. In our next episode, we'll add more residential neighborhoods to support Reddington's growing industries, and we'll build a liberal arts college on some rather challenging terrain. I'd like to thank my supporters on Patreon, who enjoy ad-free, early, and behind-the-scenes access to all of my videos. And I'd like to thank you for watching. So long!